don't sign those divorce papers until you watch this, because I'm about to reveal the 7 hidden assets husbands hope you never ever discover. See, divorce isn't just about emotions, it's about money, property, stability, and the truth is, many husbands will go to shocking lengths to keep more than their fair share. They don't want an equal split, they don't want fairness, they want to walk away with everything they can, even if it means breaking the law or breaking your trust. Now here's the part most people don't realize. Husbands who hide assets rarely make it obvious. They don't just wave a stack of cash in front of you and dare you to take it. They get clever, they get sneaky, they move the money in ways that look normal, that look routine, that look so boring you'd never think twice. Until one day, you wake up and realize half the wealth you built together is gone. I've seen cases where the wife thought the finances were clear, only to find out years later that her husband had been secretly shifting money into places she'd never even heard of. I've seen women walk away from a settlement thinking they got a fair deal, only to learn afterward that there were entire accounts, investments, and properties they never even knew existed. And that's the danger. If you don't know what to look for, you won't see it. If you don't dig deeper, you'll leave the courtroom with less than you deserve. Sometimes a lot less. So why do husbands hide assets? For some it's greed. For others it's control. Some want to punish their spouse, making sure she struggles while they start fresh. Others convince themselves it's their money even if the law says otherwise. But the reason doesn't matter. The result is always the same. You get cheated out of what you're owed. And let me be clear, this isn't rare. Courts deal with hidden assets all the time. Judges, lawyers, and forensic accountants see it every single day, from secret bank accounts to shell companies, from fake debts to retirement funds quietly tucked away. The playbook is longer than you think. But here's the good news. Once you know the tricks, you can catch them. Once you know where to look, you can stop him from walking away with what's rightfully yours. That's why this video matters, because today I'm going to pull back the curtain on the 7 most common hidden assets husbands pray you never find. These aren't theories. These are the tactics used in real divorces, the strategies husbands use when they think no one is paying attention. And when you know them, you have power. Power to demand answers, power to protect yourself, power to make sure you don't walk away empty-handed. So if you're facing divorce, or even suspect you might one day, you need this information, because the difference between walking away with scraps and walking away with security often comes down to one thing. Did you uncover the hidden assets? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you could be the most important financial lesson you ever hear. And it all starts with the very first and most common trick husbands use to hide money from you. Number 1, secret bank accounts. The first hidden asset husbands hope you never find. Secret bank accounts. It sounds old school, right? Like something out of a crime drama, but don't be fooled. This trick is alive and well, and it's one of the easiest ways money disappears during a divorce. Here's how it works. He opens a second account at a bank you don't use. Sometimes it's a small local branch, sometimes a credit union, sometimes even an online-only bank that doesn't send paper statements. He uses a different address, maybe even a P.O. box, so no letters come to the house. From the outside, nothing looks different, but behind the scenes, money is quietly flowing into that account and you're left in the dark. The transfers are usually small, 100 here, a few hundred there. Little enough that it doesn't raise alarm bells in your joint account, but small numbers add up. Over months, over years, that invisible account could be holding tens of thousands of dollars. Money that should be on the table when the marriage ends. Money you have a legal right to, and it gets worse. Sometimes these accounts aren't created when the marriage falls apart. They're created years earlier, just in case. Some husbands play the long game. They plan ahead, siphoning off funds slowly so it never catches your eye. By the time divorce papers are filed, the cushion is already built. So how do you find them? That's where you need to pay attention to the details. Look at his pay stubs. Do the direct deposits match what shows up in the joint account? If there's a difference, even a small one, that money has to be going somewhere. Check for unexplained withdrawals. Dig into tax returns. Sometimes interest from a mystery account shows up without him realizing it. And here's the hard truth. Sometimes the only way to uncover these accounts is with legal pressure, subpoenas, court orders, forensic accountants. Because once money is hidden this this way, it's not going to be volunteered willingly. You have to pull it out into the light. A secret bank account isn't just a pile of cash. It's a sign of betrayal. It means while you were planning a life together, he was planning an exit strategy, and if you don't catch it, you'll be the one left with less than you deserve. But bank accounts are only the beginning, because some husbands go even further, hiding money where there are no statements, no bank tellers, and no digital trail at all. That brings us to the second hidden asset: cash stashed in safe deposit boxes. Number 2, cash in safe deposit boxes. If secret bank accounts leave a paper trail, this next trick leaves almost nothing at all. Husbands who really don't want to be traced turn to the oldest hiding place in the book: cash. And where do they keep it? Safe deposit boxes. Think about it. A safe deposit box doesn't send monthly statements to your house. It doesn't ping your phone with alerts. It doesn't leave behind the same digital fingerprints as an account. To the outside world, it's invisible. Unless you know it exists, you'll never even think to look. Here's how it usually plays out. A husband slowly withdraws cash, maybe a few $100s every paycheck, maybe business expenses that never get explained. On the surface, it looks like small spending, a dinner here, a repair there, but instead of being spent, that cash is folded away, stacked up, and quietly placed in a safe deposit box at the bank. Over time, the pile grows. By the time divorce papers are on the table, that box could be holding a life-changing sum. Sometimes it's not even a single box. Some men spread the cash across multiple locations, different banks, different branches. Others use friends or family, renting the box under someone else's name to keep it even further off the radar. To you, it looks like money disappeared into thin air. In reality, it's sitting in a dark vault, waiting for the moment he thinks he's free to use it. What makes this method so dangerous is how hard it is to trace. No paper statements, no direct deposits, no account balances to check, just a small key and a locked metal drawer. Unless you push for full financial discovery in court, demanding records of every safe deposit box linked to his name, you may never know it's there. But here's the thing, even safe deposit boxes leave tiny clues. Repeated cash withdrawals that don't line up with real expenses, bank visits that don't match deposits, missing money from paychecks. If you spot the pattern, you can start asking the right questions. Cash hidden in a box isn't just money out of sight, it's money ripped out of your future. Money that could pay bills, support children, or build your new life after divorce. And if you think stashing cash is sneaky, wait until you hear about the third hidden asset. Because these days, the trick many husbands use isn't physical money at all, it's digital. Number 3, undisclosed investments. If cash in a box feels sneaky, this next one is even harder to track. Because it doesn't sit in a drawer, it doesn't live in a checking account, and you won't find it by flipping through paper statements. Husbands today are hiding money in digital shadows, investments you never see. I'm talking about crypto, stocks, and online trading apps. Here's how it works. He sets up an account on a platform you've never used. Maybe it's a flashy crypto exchange. Maybe it's a trading app that only lives on his phone. He funds it quietly, often with small transfers that look like everyday expenses. Tech purchase, online service, miscellaneous. In reality, that money is being converted into digital assets or stock shares you'll never know exist. No obvious bank withdrawals, no new accounts showing up in your mailbox. Everything happens online, behind passwords you don't have. If he's careful, he can build an entire investment portfolio in secret. And by the time the divorce is final, it could be worth thousands or even millions. Think about crypto. A single wallet address can hold digital coins that don't show up on a bank statement. Unless you know the address, it's invisible to you. Or stocks bought through apps that don't send paper statements, shares that exist in cyberspace while you're left believing the money was spent. But here's the truth, no investment is completely untraceable. You can spot the signs if you know where to look. Tax returns sometimes list capital gains or dividends. Bank accounts may show unexplained transfers to trading platforms. Even the presence of certain apps on his phone can be a clue. The scary part? Many husbands count on you not asking these questions. They assume you won't think about crypto, won't dig into stock trades, won't wonder why online transfers keep popping up. They bank on your silence while they build wealth in the background. But once uncovered, these hidden investments change everything because they're not just assets, they're growth. Money that multiplies quietly while you're left believing the household is struggling. So don't let digital shadows fool you. Crypto wallets, trading apps, undisclosed stocks. They may not show up on the surface, but they can be some of the biggest hidden treasures waiting to be found. And as sneaky as digital investments can be, the fourth hidden asset is even dirtier because it's disguised as debt. Number 4, fake debts. Now we get into one of the dirtiest tricks of all. If hiding money in banks or crypto is sneaky, this one is outright deceit. Husbands create fake debts, and unless you know how it works, you might never catch it. Here's how the scheme plays out. He claims he owes money to a close friend, a sibling, maybe even a business partner. Suddenly, you see a repayment leaving your joint account. On paper, it looks legitimate. A husband paying back a loan, but here's the truth. That loan never existed. The repayment is just money being shuffled out of your life and into someone else's hands, waiting to be returned to him later. It's a shell game. The money doesn't disappear, it just hides under another cup. By the time divorce papers are signed, the debt looks real, the money looks gone, and you're left with less. And then, once the ink is dry, that friend or relative quietly gives the money back. And it doesn't stop there. Some men inflate real debts, making them look far larger than they actually are. Maybe the family owes a credit card balance of $5,000. He claims it's $15,000, slips in fake statements, and suddenly the marital pot looks smaller. Or maybe he pretends business loans are hanging over his head, when in reality, they were paid off long ago. Why do husbands do this? Because debt lowers the balance sheet. The more debt he claims, the less he has to split. It makes the marital estate look smaller, weaker, easier to divide in his favor. And unless you demand proof, it can slide through the cracks. So how do you spot a fake debt? Ask for documentation. Real loans come with contracts, signed agreements, repayment schedules, interest rates. If those details are missing, vague, or inconsistent, the debt may not exist. Watch for payments that seem too neat, too perfectly timed around the divorce, and pay attention to who he's repaying. If it's always the same friend, the same sibling, the same business partner, that's a red flag. Fake debts are more than lies. They're theft. They strip money out of your settlement only to bounce back into his pocket once you're gone. And while fake debts make money vanish on paper, the fifth hidden asset is even slicker because it hides in plain sight, buried inside his business. Number 5, business write-offs and hidden spending. If your husband owns a business, this is where things get really tricky because businesses don't just make money, they create cover. And many husbands use that cover to bury personal spending inside business expenses. Here's what that looks like. A vacation to the Bahamas suddenly becomes a work trip. That shiny new laptop labeled office equipment. A luxury car written off as a company vehicle. In reality, it's family money being siphoned into personal luxuries and hidden from the divorce table. Some husbands get even bolder. They'll overpay vendors they secretly control, funneling money into fake companies. Or they'll underreport income, claiming the business is struggling when it's actually pulling in far more than they admit. The danger here is obvious. Unless you understand the business, it's easy to take those records at face value. Judges and even lawyers can get lost in a maze of receipts, invoices, and spreadsheets. And that's exactly what he's counting on. The more confusing it looks, the more likely you are to give up and settle for less. But here's the reality. Every business expense leaves a trail. Plane tickets have passenger names. Cars have titles and registrations. Electronics have serial numbers. If an expense looks personal, it probably is. And with the right forensic accountant, those lies can be peeled back layer by layer until the truth shows through. This trick isn't just about hiding assets. It's about lifestyle. A husband who hides money this way is living better than the book suggests. He claims he's broke, but somehow he's flying first class. He claims the company is bleeding, but he's driving a brand new car. The numbers and the lifestyle don't match, and that's your clue. Business write-offs aren't just shady accounting, they're theft disguised as paperwork. And if you don't challenge them, you could lose a huge chunk of what you're owed. But even buried receipts look honest compared to the sixth hidden asset, because sometimes husbands don't just fake expenses, they move property completely out of sight into other people's names. Number 6, property in other names. If bank accounts and business write-offs weren't bad enough, some husbands take hiding assets to the next level. They don't just disguise the money, they transfer the property completely, moving it into someone else's name so it disappears from view. Here's how it usually plays out. A husband quietly signs over a piece of real estate to a sibling, a cousin, or even a parent. On paper, it looks like he doesn't own it anymore. The title changes. The deed is updated. Suddenly, that lake house, that condo, or that plot of land no longer belongs to him. him. But here's the truth. It's still his in every way that matters. The relative holding the deed is nothing more than a placeholder, keeping the asset safe until the divorce is final. Others use shell companies. A shell company doesn't do real business. It just exists on paper. He sets one up, often with the help of a lawyer or accountant, and sells property into it. The records now show the company owns the house or land, not him personally. Unless you know the company exists, that asset vanishes from the marital estate. And it doesn't stop with real estate. Cars, boats, even valuable collectibles can be transferred this way. Titles are switched, registrations updated, and suddenly the property you thought was part of your future is gone, tucked neatly out of reach. The danger is obvious. If you don't catch the transfer, the property isn't counted in the divorce. You walk away with less, while he holds onto assets that should have been divided. But transfers like this aren't foolproof. Property records are public, shell companies can be traced. Sudden changes in ownership, especially close to the time of divorce, are giant red flags. And courts don't look kindly on this kind of maneuver. Judges know these tricks, and once exposed, they can be reversed. Still, the damage can be deep if you don't know where to look, because every piece of property hidden this way represents wealth, stability, and security you're being robbed of. And if hiding property under other names feels like the end of the road, it's not, because the seventh and final hidden asset is the most overlooked of all. The slow burn wealth husbands hope you'll forget until it's too late. Number 7. Retirement funds and pensions. The last hidden asset on this list isn't flashy. It's not cash in a vault or crypto on a secret phone, but it can be the biggest loss of all: retirement funds and pensions. Here's why. Most people don't think about retirement accounts in a divorce. They're focused on the house, the cars, the bank balances, the day-to-day survival. But retirement funds are long-term wealth. 401ks, IRAs, pensions, annuities. And husbands know if you're not paying attention, you might forget to claim your share. Some men hide these accounts outright. They never mention them, never list them in financial disclosures, hoping the court or their spouse overlooks them. Others downplay the value. They claim the account is small or inactive, when in reality it's holding years of contributions matched by employers, quietly compounding interest. Pensions are even trickier. They don't always show up like a traditional account. They're promises of future payments, and those promises can be worth hundreds of thousands over time. But unless you specifically ask for them, they may never enter the conversation. Husbands count on that silence. And here's the kicker. Retirement funds aren't just his. They're marital property. If contributions were made during the marriage, you have a legal right to part of them. But if you don't demand it, you lose it. Once the divorce is final, there's no going back. So how do you spot hidden retirement wealth? Tax returns can be a clue. Look for deductions or contributions that don't match what you've been told. Employer records can reveal pension plans you didn't know existed. And court orders like a QDRO, Qualified Domestic Relations Order, can force retirement accounts to be divided fairly. The danger is clear. If you forget retirement funds, you're not just losing money now, you're losing stability later. Money that could have supported you for decades, money that was built during your marriage, simply vanishes into his future. Because it's not about luxury, not about show, it's about security. And when husbands hide it, they're not just stealing dollars, they're stealing years of your future. Now you've seen them, the 7 hidden assets husbands hope you never ever discover. Secret bank accounts quietly pulling money out of your reach, cash stacked in safe deposit boxes where no statement ever arrives, crypto wallets and trading apps building secret wealth in digital shadows, fake debts designed to shrink the marital pot on paper while friends hold the money for later, business write-offs that disguise vacations and luxury cars as company expenses, property shuffled into relatives' names or buried in shell companies, and the most devastating of all, retirement funds and pensions, the slow burn wealth that vanishes if you don't claim it in time. 7 tricks, 7 ways to cheat you out of what you're owed. 7 doors husbands slam shut, hoping you never ask the right questions. But here's the truth. Every one of these assets can be found. Every secret leaves a trace if you know where to look. Pay stubs that don't match deposits. Withdrawals that don't match expenses. Tax returns that whisper about accounts never mentioned. Property records that reveal sudden transfers. Business books that don't line up with reality. And once you uncover the lies, the balance shifts. The money they thought they'd keep, it comes back to the table. The security they hope to steal, it becomes yours again. That's why you can't walk blind into a settlement. You can't take numbers at face value, and you absolutely cannot sign those papers until you've asked the hard questions, demanded the records, and uncovered every hidden corner of the estate. Because in divorce, silence costs more than anything. Silence is how they win. You deserve the full picture. You deserve your share. You deserve the future you built together, not just the scraps he leaves behind. So remember these 7 hidden assets. Watch for the signs, protect yourself, and don't ever settle for less than what's rightfully yours. Because in the end, husbands don't just hide money, they hide freedom, they hide security, they hide your future. And the moment you shine a light on those hidden assets, that future comes back to you.